How you doing, man?
Man, that is a setup. That is a setup and a half in the background. We like that. That is a thing of beauty.
Woofed.
Yeah, it's a work of art. Wait.
Suddenly,
It's
my
real.
keyboard feels really small now. This keyboard does not cut it anymore.
Hey, in my corner where I teach.
Oh yeah, that's it, the essentials.
So I have your setup in my corner.
Awesome.
Oh yeah,
and then I have the big boy set up on this side.
The big boy.
Is this your happy place, Lenny?
It's my one place where I've made many great magical moments with other DJs, great vocalists. We've had everybody here, from Luther Vandross to you name it.
Luther Vandross, nice. Okay.
We've had the people from Chic here. We've had Dave Morales come use my room. Hex Hector, many main DJs. Other big name record producers have been here from Europe, came into my studio and worked, used my studio when I was traveling the world DJing. They were here using it. So I'm right now here to talk to you all about whatever questions you have for me today.
Yeah, awesome.
So I hear you guys are the go-tos. I saw the video of the scratching.
Oh yeah,
that's
Grandmaster Flash style, huh?
That's a compliment.
Grandmaster Flash with the disco.
That's a compliment, Lenny. I'll take that.
Well, it's the Grandmaster Flash style. That's what he used to do back in the day. I remember as a young kid, he would be doing. I saw him live in the park in the Bronx doing that many years ago when I was a kid.
Thanks for taking the time to come on, Lenny. It's good to have you on here.
We appreciate you giving me the forum to have me come on. Thank you.
Where do we begin, Lenny? Where do we begin? I think we should probably go back to the beginning. Where did it all begin for you then? Where was it? What inspired you to get into this line of work?
How beginning are we talking?
We're not going back to primary school. No, I'm kidding.
Let's start like from there. Okay, so I walked past.
How long have you got?
With my grandmother, a piano teacher.
All right.
I was about 6, 7 years old, and she wanted me to be. In her mind, she saw me as an orchestra leader. So I inquired, and my classical piano training began.
Right.
So that was through my grade school.
Mm-hmm.
Through all my grade school, I was then accepted into performing arts in New York City, the school where Fame was made. I wound up not going there because in those days, in the 80s, the city was really rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And my mom and dad didn't want me taking the train, and so I went to my neighborhood school. Music never left me. I used to go to many clubs. I never dreamed that this musical beginnings of me playing classical piano would ever bring me to the point of making records, ever.
Yeah.
So if someone said to me back then, did you know? No, I didn't even know the career existed. I knew how to listen to music. My mom and dad had the radio on. My mom and dad used to play artists like Cal Jada, Frank Sinatra in the house. Yep. I used to listen to Frankie Crocker on WLS New York radio. He was a big air personality. And he had a music eclectic from jazz to R&B across the board. So his music was being played, and I was just sponging.
Yep.
At the same time, disco was beginning, and disco have actually found its way into our home through radio. Not too far after became the craze. Saturday Night Fever happened.
Yeah.
Then we went to the movies. We saw the movie. I loved what I saw. That was the first time I actually saw what DJing was about, not realizing really what it was, because I saw the guy in the booth and I fell in love with that. Whatever that was, pulled me.
Yep.
That was it for me. Around the time of 1978, I was going to parties, very young. I remember going to a party where they had a DJ, and I saw that and I just watched. Not too long after, my cousin in the 80s, early 80s, got his turntables, and he worked as a guy who would slice deli meats. He was young. He got a job, and he saved his money, and he got these turntables at the time, these Technique 1200s.
Oh, yeah.
I went into his basement apartment, and I remember going to touch it, and my cousin yelled out and said, in a profanity, he said, "Hey, F-O, Stepped the back F off those things. And I went, he says, you know how expensive they were? I think he paid $450 or $500 each in 1981.
God.
A lot of money.
Okay.
A lot of money for those things. That's like $900 today. So I think that's the number. Anyway, he said, sit down. Let me show you what I can do. And he started DJing, and I was blown away.
Mm-hmm.
From there, I just, I had to have it. At the same time, you had Tony Humphries and Shep Pettibone on the radio in New York.
Yep. And
I was listening to them constantly on the Kiss master mixes. Shep was playing all his remixes. He was doing his edits on his Kiss show, and I was emulating at home with my turntables what he was doing. Yeah. And that's where. And then it wasn't until I started going to Vinyl Mania, and then I met my friends, and I went to the Fun House, the nightclub where Jelly Bean played, and then I went to the Paradise Garage, and my whole world changed, and I met everybody from there. My friend David Lozada took me, and he said, what I'm going to take you is going to change you, and you'll never be the same. And he was right. He said it in a very profanity. He said it to me. I'll just never forget him. He rest in peace. He said, well, you haven't lived until I've taken you here.
What was it feeling like, Lenny, when you first walked in the Paradise Garage?
It was overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was absolutely, it was scary. Yeah. It was absolutely scary. It's like walking to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
with the Wizard of Oz in Technicolor. You can only say it's all that and all that. I got to see so much. I got to experience the sound. I thought I was a DJ until I went there. I was not a DJ. That was not what I thought a DJ was. When I heard him play, and I watched that crowd scream, and the atmosphere, and it was my first time. I was around gay men dancing. I've never experienced that. Also, the color of the crowd was more Latino and Black. I'm half Spanish. And it was that uptown New York and New York City crowd and downtown crowd. And it was all that. And the music was just, it was everything. It was music. It was sound. It was atmosphere. Mind you, no air conditioning.
Oh, no.
Locker room.
A little bit sweaty.
200,000 people dancing and screaming. Had huge fans so to pull all the hot air out. And look, it worked. It worked. Garage was all that.
Yeah.
The system, the club and the system were built together.
Yeah, the sound system. I've heard great things about the sound system. It was revolutionary.
It was also Richard Long's. It was his scientific experiment, the Garage.
Yeah. Did he build a lot of the equipment? He built a lot of the equipment specifically for the Paradise Garage. Did he build a lot of that, the sound equipment then? Yes. Yes.
The Berthas and the extensions were made for the Garage, and then others, they went into other places. Studio 54 and Garage, in those days, had the best systems. The Garage was the system.
Yeah.
Studio had theatrics, lighting, the look of a high-class club, but with huge sound. Garage, it was all about sound. Mm-hmm. All about sound.
Yeah. What was it that made it so special? Was it quite like you say, it was quite a rough time, quite a rough area, quite a hard upbringing? Do you think a lot of people just found a lot of salvation and a togetherness in those types of places?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. It's been said that Larry Levan would hold church every weekend.
Yeah.
You think I understand what that means.
Right.
So what that means is people would be so stressed and so working hard or not working, whatever their lives were dealing with at the time. Maybe they had no fathers. Maybe they had a lot of them, I remember, didn't have families.
Yeah.
So the Garage became their family. The friends that they made are still, some of them are lifetime. I mean, I have some friends that I met there to this day. I still know. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it just doesn't feel like the time is gone, but it's gone. It's decades now. It's like 10 years feels like a year. Like when you look at it, it's like, 4 years, 40 years.
Yeah.
From the closing of the Paradise Garages, September of 87.
Yeah.
September of 1987, it closed.
I don't mean to make you feel old, Lenny, but that's when I was born.
I was there.
Yeah. I was there in spirit.
I was young. I was young, but I was there. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. In those days, my cousin gave me his license, and we didn't have pictures on a license, so I used to run around his license, and I would use as my ID, and nobody ever questioned. I looked like a kid. When I look back at my pictures, I looked really young. I don't think I would let me in.
You still look young, Lenny. You still look young.
Thank you. But in those days, I really was young. Maybe I shouldn't even been there. But you know what? I'm so glad I was.
Yeah.
Because I never would have done what I'm doing today.
Yep.
I never would have been able to travel the world and experience everything I've experienced. It's crazy, the road that this has taken me, from classical training, piano, to now making records, to playing at some of the best clubs around the world.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I didn't get to play. See, a lot of people think I played Paradise Garage because I did the BBC documentary. I didn't play Paradise Garage, and I've always said this, but a lot of people think I played Garage. I played 54, but I played 54 after 54 was done.
All right.
In the 80s, when they brought Larry Levan in there and they had different DJs. I would work for this promoter named Bear Jones, and I would do his parties there. He was a promoter, and he would have parties around New York City. For me, it was the greatest thing because it was my shot to play in these big rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I got to play underground, Richard Long sound system. When I got to 54, Richard Long sound system was now gone.
Oh, no.
I had the Clare Brothers sound system.
Right.
Sound like a big ass radio in the mother. Sound like a radio. Sounded terrible. God,
so what was the experience like of DJing in Studio 54 as well? I mean, it must have still been a great experience to be DJing in there.
It really was a great experience. It's just a great experience to play in a room that size, but the crowd was a yuppie crowd. Yuppie was, it was a Wall Street crowd.
Mm-hmm.
It was, a lot of it was, we started at 7 o'clock at night and kept going to parties. So I would work from 7 to 4 in the morning.
Yep.
For Baird. It's a long night.
Mm-hmm.
I would do this like on a Friday or Thursday night. He would do after work parties.
Yeah.
And the crowds would change. You get the Wall Street yuppies would leave, which was that downtown crowd would like to, or midtown crowd.
Mm-hmm.
They want to hear commercial music. And then I would be able to get into dance music as the night went on.
Yep.
Ah, okay. So 7 to 4, yeah, that is a long night.
7 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imagine I was working straight and doing that a couple nights a week, but I was so happy. I didn't care.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm playing in that, I'm not playing in my neighborhood in Queens. I'm playing in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You're happy.
be said for that. Now, did I ever think back then that I played these clubs would make a difference today? No, I didn't. People tell me when they meet me, "Oh, I'm so impressed you play C54." I'm like, okay, that's great. But, you know, for me, it's more about what I've done in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, that was great, but that's not for me the end and beginning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And how did you move on to the music production from the DJing as well?
Well, I'll tell you how that happened. Because I was classically trained, another friend of mine, Anthony, at the time, went out and got some production equipment, MIDI stuff. He got a computer. I went with him to a store called Rogue Music. It's around the 80s again.
Yeah.
It's like 80, 88, around that time. And I was listening to the guy explaining what he can do, and he wanted to get into this. And he wound up getting a keyboard. I think it was a Korg DSS-1 and a computer, and he brought it home, and we set it up. And I started to watch, and we started to read. In those days, there was no YouTube, there was no internet, there was no Google, there was no, let me watch a film to show me how to do what I need to do. No, basically, you opened up the manual, and you started to learn step by step. So he got this stuff. What wound up happening was he bought a drum machine, then he sold it to me. I then bought the drum machine, and then I bought a Roland D50, and then I bought a computer. And because I knew how to play keys, I was able to start to learn the technical side of it. And that's how that began. Rick Lenore, another good friend of mine from Work It to the Bone era. Gotta work it to the bone. You gotta work it to the bone, bone, bone. That's him. Lenore Records. He said to me, I said, yo, man, David Morales is doing all these mixes. We were talking about David Morales and Judy Weinstein, Def Mix and Frankie and all the Chicago people. Because again, I was close with Carl Bias from Master C and J. I helped them when they went to perform at the Garage. I was there. You know, he'll tell you the story himself, Carl Bias.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, he's like, Lenny, yo, man, I'll never forget him saying, he says, you can do this, bro. You can be just like Morales. And I'm like, really? He's like, you just, so he says, if you put a record together, I'll put it out on L&R.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I did this record with my friend Dennis, who is another lifelong friend. I talked to him all the time. And he did the vocal and it was called Babuda. It was a tribal house record on a Chicago label. So L&R Records releases my first record in around 1989, early 89. I think they did about 500 singles.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, that's great. I go back and listen to that record. It's horrible. It's horrible. From how I make records today, but you got to start somewhere.
Yep, that's it.
You know what I'm saying? So was I proud of it? Oh my God, I was so proud of it. Oh, but it was garbage. It was good for the time. It was it fit that Chicago's house sound. But
did you take a lot of influence from what the guys were doing in Chicago? Because I know things got pushed a little bit out of New York at a point, didn't they? And it was a lot of the guys were kind of forced over to Chicago. Is that right?
Yep.
So did you guys just hold fort and just take a lot of influence from what they were doing, or were you on that kind of that idea
well,
anyway?
Let me clarify something to you. In the early 80s, Boy Jarvis, who also just recently, last few years, has passed away, he was the transition, I feel, that pre-house music.
Right.
Boy Jarvis was doing records like Visuals, The Music Got Me. These are the first like electronic R&B records that are, for me, the blueprint of what house music was then to become.
Yeah.
Chicago, Lil Lewis, Frankie Knuckles, Chippy, all those guys. Frankie was playing in his spot called the Warehouse, and they kept saying this music that you play at Frankie's house.
Yeah.
And then the record, from what I understand, because I always heard the story later, they put, you want to hear those records that played at Frankie's house, come here. And that's how house music was born.
Mm-hmm.
Electronic, a lot of it comes from the Chicago side of it, comes from the Italo disco sound.
Yeah.
Like Dirty Talk, those records, which were big in New York too. So New York, the funny part about house music is Chicago's making the house records, New York is breaking the records.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then Manchester and places like Hacienda, which I played, were championing these records and making them massive hits in the UK. They were getting the records, breaking them there first. Mike Pickering and Graham Park were rocking these records, I know for a fact. And it was then going across the UK, and some of these records like Love Can't Turn Around, all those records.
Jackmaster, Farley Jackmaster.
Can You Feel It, Mr. Fingers.
Yeah.
I mean, crossover hits.
Yeah.
That's the story that I remember, how it was breaking down. I was right there from day one. When house music was born, I was right there playing it. In fact, I lost one of my jobs playing house music anthem because the promoter didn't want to hear that.
Right.
He said, take that hickey jiggy black music off. Seriously, it was racist. I was like, and I played it again.
Yeah, you have some of that.
I went crazy. He told me, basically he was yelling at me and cursing me, and I just, right then and there, I'll never forget, I just picked the needle up and went, just backed up and left.
Well played.
Because like you say, it was really starting to inspire what we guys do out in the UK at that time, wasn't it? I think when they really started to catch on with the whole Ibiza thing, and then Paul Oakenfold and guys were bringing it back to the UK.
Paul Oakenfold lived here for a while.
Yeah.
He experienced going to the Garage. I spoke to him about that. He experienced going to the Garage. He experienced what it was like to live in New York, that vibe.
Yeah.
Go to Justin Berkman. Justin worked in New York as a waiter for a while before he created Ministry of Sound. He went to Garage. He saw it. He loved it. He fell in love with it. He wanted to bring it back to England. After Garage closed, he built this club, Ministry of Sound. When I went to play there, I said, oh my God, it's so much similar like the Garage, except it's,
rainy.
Yeah, that too. And it was created, you know, for the England experience, but it had
Yeah.
the garage mystique about it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think by that point was that the garage was that shut down by that point?
Yeah, remember now, he started to break ground 89 on that ministry.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was already 2 years. Then he brought Larry Levan over.
Yep.
And Larry came and played the first weekends, third weekend it was, or, you know, he went in there and tuned the system, and Harvey was there, and Harvey learned off of him. And I mean, it was a life-changing experience for these guys.
Yeah,
They never experienced anything like that in London before. They never heard a sound system like that before. They got Dallas and Gary from Gary Stewart to come and put the system in. It wasn't Richard Long because Richard was already dead. So Gary and Dallas, so it was Austin, I'm sorry, Austin was his name. Austin did it. Austin used to work for Richard Long, if I remember correctly at that time in Long Island City. So he went with Gary and he put that system in. They wanted the best system. I'll never forget. I was in Kenny Carpenter's apartment in Brooklyn. Justin Berkman was there, and we were talking about who he should go with for the systems at Ministry. And I remember Kenny saying, you know, Steve Dash is really good, but I think Gary would be great. They wound up taking Gary in Austin. Gary's gone too. I remember being there for that conversation. Kenny would remember that too.
You've got a good memory, Lenny, a very good memory considering things must have been a bit hazy back then.
Well, I've been asked these questions a few times, so you kind of remember now, you know.
Yeah. It's coming back to you.
So you've been in the UK quite a few times as well, Lenny. Have you kind of DJed up and down the UK as well over the years?
Oh my God, I've been there for the last couple of decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had to say that thank you to all of you for supporting what I do. You know, I could never have done this without all of you.
Because you mentioned the Hacienda. You mentioned the Hacienda as well, Lenny. Hacienda is regarded as the one of the most pivotal points for rave culture in the UK. So it's quite a pleasure you've played there, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Graham Park reminded me about that too when we did the I went with D-Train a few years ago and we did the thing in that festival James Morgan does in the Midlands. Graham Park came up to me and said, "Yo, you remember when you played?" I was like, "Yeah, I do now." I played a few times. It was pretty amazing playing for that crowd. I got to play many places for the first time that many people never got to play. For example, I was the first American DJ to be invited to play in Ibiza before anybody else.
Is that right? Yeah, awesome. Amazing.
Yeah, I got to play Pasha. And the reason how that happened was DJ Pippi was playing my records. And when he was given the list, he says, "I want to bring Lenny Fontana." And then they contacted me and said, "Would you come play in Ibiza?" I said, "Where is Ibiza?" I never heard of it.
Yeah. Look at it now.
I knew the London, I know the UK, but I never heard of Ibiza. And they're like the Balearic Islands. I'm like, "Where is that?" They're like, "Oh, that's off of Spain." I'm like, "Oh, wow." And I asked people in New York, they were like, "I never heard of it."
Yeah. I think it was in its infancy even then, I think, wasn't it? It was really starting to take hold.
Well, when I got there, the airport still had sand. Yeah, it was crazy. And even where Pasha was, all the Pasha hotel and everything, that was all sand. There was nothing there like that.
Yeah, I've been to Pasha and you have to get the taxi. Pasha's quite far out of San Antonio, isn't it? It's quite a...
San Antonio was not even that built up. It had some of the old town, a couple of bars. Didn't have the Hard Rock Hotel. I mean, the Hard Rock, whatever that place is called. All those bars and stuff. They just didn't have it. El Divino was there, but El Divino was totally open. It was open air club.
Oh, yeah.
Open air. Amnesia, same thing when I went there. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, they took me around. It was all open air clubs. They were not closed. You
the first American DJ out there, Lenny?
I may not be the first American DJ out there, but I was the first American to play.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
It could have been Americans. I know Americans that went. I heard later, and from rock and roll and stuff, there was a lot of rock people out there and stuff. They used to go there as a haven to hide out.
Yeah. Meditate and escape from the chaos.
Yep.
You've definitely been about, Lenny. What do you think, like, over the years has been the highlight for you then? Like, one of the kind of best gigs that has maybe stood out for you? It's been one of the best ones you've done? Is it difficult to say?
No, I'm going to tell you one that opens
John.
my mind, and some other DJs I've seen say the same thing, and this club doesn't exist anymore. There was a club called Club Gold in Tokyo.
Oh, right.
the guys that came to build that club lived in New York and used to go to Paradise Garage. So when they went out there to create that club, they were the first to bring Larry Levan out. And I had played right after Larry played. The crowd was so educated musically because they were playing the music, so that when I got there, it was just so overwhelming with love. And I mean, I remember just touching the mixer and the crowd screaming. And I played 2 nights back to back, 12 hours each set. It was that incredible. It was that intense.
Yeah.
A lot of work, but man, it was one of the nights I remember. I mean, there's been so many nights I played around the world. Cavo Paradiso in the beginning in Greece, in Mykonos, before they did the transformation, made it more like an EDM club. They used to have, the pool, and I'll never forget starting at 4 a.m. and playing into the day and watching the sunrise as you're playing. What an experience.
Oh, that sounds incredible.
People going mad crazy. I mean, there's been those moments where you just go, that's another one that goes in my book.
Yeah.
You know?
Lenny, I get the impression you're more inspired now than you've ever been, though. I mean, we're talking about a lot about historic and a lot of the stories, but what's for the future for Lenny then? Because you seem very inspired.
Well, you know, it's funny that I've been able to produce disco and disco house and enjoy it again, that there's a forum for me to do it.
Yeah.
That's what's been the big passion for me. I've been so blessed to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
You know?
You do a lot of production classes now, tutorials. Is that what you're aiming for now, to teach?
Well, I've been doing the tutorials too because COVID has forced me to not been able to travel. Yeah. So I've been having to deal with, you know, resetting my life again. You know, what do I do now in the middle of this? So we've been doing a lot of remixing for record labels.
Yep.
And I had some really big releases that we had to put a hold on because there's no club scene to promote things to.
Yeah.
So between doing remixing, then we thought about, let's do a webinar. Zoom has made it possible for me to teach all of you something. So we made 6 classes. So Lenny Fontana's produced a webinar, and I've taken you from basics, and now we're up to class 4, which we just did a little while ago, sampling disco sample loops and working them in your tracks. And people who have never done this, we're showing them, you know, what I did in the 1990s, how I filtered it, how I cut them up, how I put them in place.
Yep.
It's interesting. If you never did it, you know, it's like an eye-opener. And I'm your teacher.
Yeah.
I'm kind of proven, you know?
Yeah, you've been about, Lenny. You've been about.
Is that something that you're going to continue to do, like after the whole COVID thing as well, like continue with tutorials and stuff?
Well, think about it, yeah. I mean, look, you know what? We're going to be in COVID for a little bit.
No, definitely, yeah.
Here's the question. When am I going to be able to travel again, is the question.
Yeah.
So far, the European Union has said no to the Americans traveling from abroad, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, this has been piss poor managed in America.
Yeah.
New York's doing great. Thank God we made the curve. We have a fantastic governor who listened to the science. And I believe the same. Drown out the noise, listen to the signal.
Yep.
But the other states don't see it like that. They're run by a Republican Trumpism mentality. We rush to get the states open. And now, you know, they're in the middle of the highest flaring going on. Yeah, you see the numbers. I don't have to tell you.
Is New York doing okay, Lenny? You guys starting to come through the
very well. I mean, we are resilient. We sheltered in place.
Yeah.
Not to say that we're not gonna have a spike again, but we're really good now.
Yeah, because it was looking quite scary for you guys when we were watching from over here in New York, and I was thinking, God, it's looking quite bad. But it's great to hear you guys have come through the other side of it. Then.
Not the rest of the country, though.
No, you guys are doing all right.
We've actually, you know, it's at a point now where the governor is saying you played politics against COVID and you lost.
Yeah.
Instead of listening to the science and doing what they're telling you to do, you decided to say, no, it's not real. New York it's only in New York it's happening. But guess what?
Yeah. I think we get a lot of people on, a lot of DJs, producers chatting, and a lot of people are the same. We're not sure what's going to come out the other side for DJing again, when we'll get the chance to do it. But hopefully next year, Lenny, we'll be back again.
I think on the positive side of it, though, like a lot of people have managed to stay quite productive and been working in the studios and things like that. So there has been some people have kind of managed to make a positive out of a bad situation, I guess.
Yeah, and on a positive note, yeah. I mean, look, I've done the same. I haven't stopped. I've been busy since we went into lockdown.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I haven't stopped. And you know what? We've gained even more stuff that come because of this. More opportunities have come in, but different. Again, all my gigs went to Cinders. Now I'm dealing with remixes. I'm writing with other artists. You know, I'm doing webinars. I'm having conversations with you guys.
Yeah.
Busy, man.
That's the thing, because I haven't seen John for about 3 or 4 months face to face, but I see him every day on Zoom, Lenny, and it's a beautiful thing, let me tell you. I really miss him.
Yeah, I mean, you're forced to, you know what? You're forced to deal with things now on a day-to-day now because you have the technology.
Yeah. In fact, I'm sick of this site, you, John, to be honest.
I know, I'm just going to log out. I
I
think we said at the start as well, Lenny, that's an impressive studio you've got there. How long have you been in there for?
As far as the studio being built, it was built in 1999.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Yep. So the board, this is an English console. It's a solid state Logic out of Oxford.
All right.
It's a 6000 EG plus. It's what they call a tri-bus console. It's a workhorse. It's been on millions of records, millions.
Yeah.
And it still sounds amazing. I actually had it all redone and retrofitted to fit today's technology the last 5 years. So it's all up to snuff. And then we do a lot of work in the box, digitally. Plus I have some outboard gear here, some actual real stuff sitting right behind me.
Yep.
And, you know, between the computer and the analog, I got everything.
Yeah,
I have
you're doing your tutorials in here as well?
I do the tutorials in here. I do the tutorials sitting behind that keyboard in the corner. Which I'll show you.
Awesome.
Take a look.
I really want to go to Lenny's studio, John, one day.
See the keyboard and stuff? So that's where I work at, and I have a little camera over there. And that's where people, you know, I have to work inside the box, so it makes better sense for me to work with that. But when I'm actually making records and we're mixing, so I'll bring up everything up on the console, and EQ, and use in the box and outside the box to get that sound.
Yep.
You know, and I do get that respect, and I also get those responses back from people telling me they can hear the difference.
Yeah.
When I'm mixing like this.
Talking about equipment, Lenny, I've noticed on your live streams that mixer you have as well, and you use like a one-eared headphone. Is that quite did you have that custom made, that mixer? Is that right?
The Bozak, that's a Bozak mixer.
Yeah.
I got that in the 80s. I got that from Lou Feldman. Lou Feldman was a sound installer. He was the competition to Richard Long.
Right.
That was originally a blackface 3-phono pot mixer, meaning it had 3 inputs for phonos. But I don't really use turntables anymore. So I have a friend of mine, Danny Prasad, which I nicknamed Danny Bozak. Danny was introduced to me through another friend, DJ named DJ Ace. And he was the guy that could take my Bozak and retrofit it. Now, mind you, these things get old. The capacitors inside, after a while, they're paper wrap. What's a capacitor? It's what holds the electrical energy. What happens is when the paper gets dry, so like you go to put the bass or the treble, you won't get that to do anything anymore.
Yeah.
So he was able to take all those caps off those boards and retrofit it. I got the mixer back. I loved it.
Yeah.
Then we became even more friends. And I said, Danny, if you add this to the mixer, can you modify it? And he says, yeah, I could do that. And I can do this. The next thing I know, I says, can you make me a white faceplate? I said, sure I can. He made me a white faceplate. And we added a booth monitor. So we virtually retrofitted that mixer to today's specs.
Right.
Changing almost everything. Except the card, the original internal Bozak card.
Yep.
But everything else he replaced on that mixer.
But that's
it was
35
years old, needed to be updated.
Yeah. Yeah, that really is one of a kind, isn't it?
So David Morales was here and he saw my mix and he says, I never saw a white one. I said, you'll never see one again.
You're not getting this one. Get your hands off of that, David.
He loves stuff like Morales loves special stuff like that. Trust me. So it's Vega. Louis Vega's the way. They love that, you know, they're the only ones that have it. Well, guess what? We only made it for me, he said. I'm only going to
You ain't getting this one, boys.
Right, so we got Karen waiting to come in here. I'll just get Karen added in as well.
Karen, I think this could be time for the disco dash, Lenny. Have you heard all about
Wow! Disco dash!
You ready for this, Lenny? You seem very ready for this.
I was kind of prepped in a funny way. So
yeah, I think
Karen ready, not ready.
Karen was trying to make some arrangements, I think.
I'm kind of ready and not ready.
Yeah. We'll try not to make you run too far, Lenny.
Don't make me run too far.
There's some hard times to beat. Natasha Kitty Cat went first. She was our first contestant. And we had Romy Black, 20 seconds, 32 seconds. So no pressure, Lenny. Just do your best, all right?
Maybe try logging out and back in again.
Yeah. There's also video settings. You clicked on that?
Done that.
Yeah.
You don't see in the settings your own.
Can I FaceTime? Lenny, what about if I FaceTime you?
FaceTime me.
Oh.
So what's that video, Lenny?
Yeah, do that, Karen. Do that. That might be easier.
Okay.
Let me get this right. Let me make sure. Look at this now. We're going to give Karen a bag of peanuts.
You're a gentleman, Lenny. You're an absolute gent. Oh, look at this.
Oh, this is. Hello.
Oh, that's... I can't tell.
Oi, look. Oh, here she is.
It looks like Karen sat on Lenny's shoulder.
You clearly.
Hold on. Let's see.
You see them?
I can see. Yeah, I can see, I think.
Very good. Okay, so what does Karen have to do now, guys? Tell Karen.
Who wants to go first, Lenny or Karen? Who wants to go first?
I can go first. It's okay. What do you want me to do?
Lenny.
That's going to be such an anticlimax, Lenny, after you.
Okay, so then Karen goes first then. Go ahead,
All right,
Karen.
Karen can go. John, if you get that stopwatch there.
Hold on, I'm just getting it ready.
Basically, what we do is we ask you guys to find 3 items within the household, and the fastest time to find those items goes to the top of the leaderboard. All right, it's called Disco Dash. Karen, are you ready for this?
Right, yeah.
The time to beat is 20 seconds, Karen. 20 seconds.
No, I've seen Natasha.
Okay, so they gave you 20 seconds on the board, Karen, to find 3 items in the house.
So I try and beat 20 seconds, Karen.
All right, Karen, you ready for this?
I am.
Right, your items are a hairbrush.
What?
Hairbrush,
A hairbrush.
Pom-poms,
pom-poms.
and a quirky item with a story. Go!
Okay, so hairbrush, pom-poms, and a quirky story. Go.
My pom-poms are a quirky story.
Go get them. Go run and get them.
Yeah, go and get them.
Go!
Thank God Lenny's here.
Pom-poms. Oh, okay, hairbrush is back already. Okay, that...
Got it.
Oh,
Got hair. Wow.
No, we need to get for another item. That was too easy, I think. Karen, one more item to beat Natasha. One more item you have to find.
Karen, you need one more item to beat Natasha.
We
Karen,
need one more item because Natasha will not be happy about this if you don't if you leave it at that.
To beat Natasha Kitty Cat.
Karen, one more item, a spoon.
One more item.
Yeah.
Go.
Here you go. Oh, it's ticking away.
That was too easy otherwise, wasn't it? Natasha would kick our asses if she got knocked off the board for that one. Oh, wait, what we at, John? What we at, John?
Come back. Oh, 25 seconds.
Oh.
You got it.
And 20 seconds.
Oh.
So close.
We had to give you a bit of a challenge there, Karen. It was a bit too easy. So we'll mark your time on
27.9.
27.9, Karen.
Lenny, do you think you can beat that?
It was a solid effort, Karen. You done well.
I'll tell you how much I'm going to beat it. Mine's going to come in at 45.3.
Right, so we need the story with the pom-poms. It's all about the story.
E equals MC square.
I think she's going to do a cheerleader dance for you, Lenny.
Do I have them? Sure I have them. Virtually.
Have you got some?
No.
Oh, you... Right, okay. Well, I've got my pom-pom.
Oh, look at this. You got a real pom-pom.
This is my random special item, random item with a story behind it. obviously I'm not a music producer, DJ like you guys, so I haven't got any platinum gold records in the background. What I do have is a very, very special story though about Lenny. And that was that me and Lenny started work together about January, February time, just prior to lockdown. We've been working really, really, really hard to try and get loads of gigs over in the UK and Europe.
Yep.
Things were going really good, weren't they, Lenny, for a while?
Until
we got lockdown.
the Grim Reaper came.
What are we going to do now? So Lenny said to me, well, you know what? I've got a few things that I can let you do. There's a few jobs that I can think of that you could possibly do. I've been working with Lenny ever since then. When I first started, it was actually in February. I got this WhatsApp messenger off Lenny. I get this message and it says, Karen, can I tell you something? Okay. So bearing in mind, I've only been doing the job a little while. Didn't quite know what I was doing, whether I was doing it right. The fact that he'd written Karen at the start, oh my God, this is serious. And then, so I sent him a message back saying, yeah, let's go for it, Lenny. What is it? And in true Lenny style, first sentence was, I have my pom-poms. Where's my pom-poms gone? I have my pom-poms. I am your biggest cheerleader. And I am your cheerleader. And I'm your biggest fan. I got that message from him to say that he's getting his pom-poms out. It's like Lenny, he's taken me under his wing. He's like really inspired me. He's educated me. Encouraged me. It's been nothing but like just grateful and like complimentary of everything I do. So getting my pom poms out for you today, Lenny.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, Larry. That's a happy boy. That's a good story.
Awesome.
Karen. I like
That's a
that.
great story.
Yeah.
It's a tearjerker for Christmas.
That really is. Do you want a moment, Lenny? Will we give
An
you a
emotional
moment?
moment.
It wasn't a climax story. It was a heartfelt, warm story, actually.
It was. John, why don't you say that stuff to me?
One day, Paul. One day, Paul. Because you don't have any pom-poms.
Tomorrow I'm getting myself a pair of pom-poms for you, John. All right?
Sing me a song.
Well, thanks a lot, Karen. Thanks a lot. That was a good effort.
Karen. Awesome.
I make the songs that make the whole world sing.
Right, Lenny, are you ready for this?
Lenny, you're up. Lenny, you are next.
Oh, God help
on
me.
the dash.
Right. John, you got the timer ready?
By the timer ready to go.
Got your one job, John. You got one job, John.
Can't even
Lenny,
do that right, John. You're already fired. Can't even do that damn job. You've been doing it every week. Can't even do it right.
Lenny, your items are...
What do I got to make right here?
A record, a key, and a quirky item with a story. A record, a key, a quirky item.
A key like a door key? That kind of key?
Any key.
Don't stall for time, come on. Ready? Ready, John?
I'm ready.
Go.
Here you go.
Okay.
Let's get the record already. What we at, John? What we at?
Well, we are. Let's see. 14 seconds and counting.
Oh, come on, Lenny. Come on, Lenny. He's not coming back, is he? Oh, he's back. What's that, John?
Oh, that is 28.2.
28.2.
That was impressive.
Quirky item.
Awesome.
And the record. Oh, he's a man of his word. Lenny, look at that.
I love New York. I love New York.
That's my art. That was my art skills this morning when I woke up. I didn't go to art class in school, by the way, as you can probably tell. 28.2, Lenny.
Redo. Could be better.
Oh, Karen, he's just taken over you.
What was your?
Okay, so
What's?
look at this.
Oh, my dad, my hero. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
My daughter gave me that when she was very young. It's been with me all over the world.
Amazing.
My dad, my hero, can't look.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's on my keys. When you
Yeah,
talk
well.
about keys, this is my infinity fob, you know, and then my house keys.
Is that
This
the key to the
stupid
studio?
quirky item just came in.
What is this, Lenny?
What is
it?
it? Vinyl cement.
HH6 I ordered. You know why? You know what this is for? Vinyl cement. I have a hole in my pool that I've been fighting all winter. The water dropping.
You live a glamorous lifestyle, don't you, Lenny? You live a glamorous lifestyle.
It's got a hole in the mother, and I found it, but then I bought this box with the vinyl prepare kit.
Right.
The glue in it's cheap. So I go under the water with my thing. I go put the thing on to hold, and then the patch comes back up. So I went on Google to find a quirky item called HH66 vinyl cement.
It's a
That
hard.
I will be doing
You win,
tomorrow.
Lenny. Lenny, you win.
Listen to this. It's super strong. Wait, listen. It's super strong, waterproof, flexible bonds for vinyl coated and vinyl laminated fabrics. Highly resistant to temperature and weather extreme. Excellent for patching and sealing.
Are you working for them, Lenny? You sell it well.
Now,
Oh, what have we got here? Oh, here we go.
Disco Gold.
Feeling out the big guns now, John.
Oh, awesome.
I know the guy who put this together. He's gone, Mel Sharon.
Right.
So let me tell you the story about Mel Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
I know him very, very well. Mel Sharon was the lover of Michael Brody, Paradise Garage owner.
Yep.
Mel Sharon was never the owner. He loaned him money to open up the Paradise Garage and build the room. When Lenny was wanted to, and I'm going to talk about Lenny in a third party sense, because I'll tell the story like this. When I was getting ready to wanting to expose that I had the second anniversary of the Paradise Garage on tape, Mel Sharon, I went to him and spoke to him. This is in the early 90s. And I said, Mel, you know, I have the tapes. And he goes, you don't have the tapes. I says, I have the tape. How do you have the tape? I recorded the tape. He says, this tape doesn't exist. I says, it exists. I'm telling you. He swore up and down. I said, how did you get that tape? I was there that night. I says, first of all, number one, I was too young to be at the club. I was home. I recorded off the radio. He scoured the earth looking for that effing tape. You don't know what he tried to do. Called up WBLS in New York. Do you have the anniversary? They said, listen, we're a black-owned radio station. In those days, what went out on the air, we didn't record. We didn't have the finances to have everything recorded. So whoever recorded it that night had the tape. He swore up and down, you don't have the tape. You should give me the tape. I'm a rightful owner of the garage. I says, no, you weren't rightful owner of the garage. And I'm not giving you that tape. So we stood friends. I would see him at the shelter. When I played, he used to come hear me play. I would go see him at his Paradise Garage reunions. He would always ask me about the tape. I act like the tape didn't exist. It wasn't 2 years later that I sat with my friend Eddie Gordon, who used to be at Manifesto Records in the UK. Eddie runs Kings of Spins today, the promotion company. That's his company. And Eddie was having dinner at my house. And at that same table was Carol Sylvan from the band Musique, Push Push in the Bush. Carol did a lot of records with me, Mucha Swing, Louis Vega, background sessions, personal family friend, love her to death. We discussed at that table, I asked this question to Eddie. My wife had made veal cutlets, so he was cutting it with a steak knife. And I said to him, Eddie, because if you know Eddie Gordon, he's responsible for Pete Tong's show, on the BBC. He was West End Radio. He was managing them, him and Judge Jules back in the day.
Yeah.
So he knew the BBC way of things and how everything rolled. I said to Eddie, how much do you think a second anniversary of the Paradise Garage is worth? I'll never forget this. Eddie's sawing the meat. And he's slowing down. And I could see his eyes going back and forth like this. Mate, what you on about? Just like that. He says, tell me again. Eddie, how much of the tape is worth 5 hours of Larry Levan at the Paradise Garage, second anniversary worth? There's no intrinsic value. What are you talking about? I never forget. I have on tape 5 hours of Larry Levan, Lita Holloway, all these people performing at the second anniversary garage. He's like, do you have it? I says, yes, I have it. It's here. He quickly sawed the meat, 3, 4 pieces. Can I hear it? I said, yeah. We went down to the studio. Carol Sylvan came down. He was supposed to stay 2 hours. He stood me 10. He had to hear the whole tape.
Yeah.
He cried with us. Carol was even remembering the garage. We were talking about it. He says to me, I'm going to go to London next week. Can you give me 3 15-minute excerpts from the garage tape? Can I take it with me? I says, yeah, no problem. He took the tapes, the 15-minute MP3s I gave. He went to see a gentleman named Fergus Dudley, who was Radio 1's promoter, PD, program director, who went to 6, or was at 1. Fergus says, I don't think this is a Radio 1 thing. This is more 6 music.
Yep.
I would love you to do it. They came back to me and said, not only can we air the video, they take the audio, can you go and get interviews with everybody? So it took us 2 years to get this BBC Radio 6 Legends of the Dance Floor done, all from
That's a hell of a story.
Mel Sharon put this album together.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
On Skepta, when Mel worked at Skepta Music.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Mel decided to try to stop. Hang on, what's going on with Karen?
Oh. Karen's done a run.
She ran to the liquor store.
We thought it was a good story, Lenny. She obviously didn't.
That story is the truth.
That's a great story.
And the Legends of the Dance Floor was formed, and I interviewed everybody. Some are no longer with us.
Yep.
And we were able to, let me see if I can get Karen back.
Lenny, you should
that
always...
was the behind the scenes of what happened to the Paradise Garage, and how I got that BBC Radio 6. That thing is revered as a history lesson.
Mm-hmm. Lenny, see
saying the story now. Now let me end this part of the story.
Yep.
You talk about my career. What my career? I never thought I'd be a documentarian as well.
Yeah.
I want to forcefully learning to become a documentarian by something I owned.
Yeah.
And I shared it with the world, and it was verified that it was the garage tapes. People were there that night. They were writing. I remember being there. I remember hearing Larry. I remember seeing Lolita Holloway. I had it all on audio because they played it live on the radio, and I recorded it.
Brilliant. Lenny, it's been an absolute pleasure. What can I say? See, when you can finally travel again and come to the UK, you're definitely coming over to share some more stories with me and John.
Without a doubt, definitely.
I promise.
I promise you, when they allow me to get back in, I'll be there. But until then, I will stay in my COVID jail in America.
No, thanks a lot, Lenny. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for taking time to chat to us.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you, Lenny. So if people are wanting to do some music production tutorial stuff with you, where do they go to get involved with that?
Producer webinar is on lennyfontana.com.
Awesome. Cool.
Click on the producer webinar. lennyfontana.com. You will be able to join up for the classes. Each class is laid out. We're doing them every 2 weeks.
Brilliant.
Cool. Nice one.
Well, keep up the great work, Lenny. You seem very inspired now, and keep up the great work, because a lot of people have to hear these stories.
I got a great label. I got a great assistant, Manuel. Karmic Power Records is doing quite well.
Yep.
I had a great record with Chris Willis not too long ago that did very well. I mean, I've been very lucky. I mean, even that disco record Fire was huge in the UK.
Yeah.
I did the collaboration with Midnight Riot. I first released it on Karmic, and then we got Dr. Packer with Midnight Riot. Record went #1.
That's right. Yeah, I think it's essential, Lenny, that you pass this knowledge on. You know, it really is essential to have you about, and we appreciate you taking time
to be honest with you, I never thought that this knowledge really meant anything to anybody. You know, it was something that we did. It wasn't anything that we thought was more than just normal day to day.
Yeah.
But now when I speak to all of you, I see all of you are like sponges. You want to know everything we did. It's crazy. I love it. Believe me, I could talk for days, but I understand how important this is to keep this going on.
Definitely. No, thanks a lot, Lenny. I'm sure we'll catch up with you again soon, my friend. It's been an absolute pleasure.
We'll chat to you again, Lenny.
Hopefully we'll have Karen on.
Much.
I'm here. I'm here. You just can't see me. The phone died. So
Karen's laughing in the background.
No, I tried to bring you back, Lenny, but it just you didn't answer me.
Karen, we'll get you on again soon. Don't worry. All right, we'll try this again.
But we were lucky enough with technology to work through alternative sources together.
Lenny, you should always have Karen on that screen, just on your shoulder, everywhere you go.
I sometimes feel like I'm
a
Lenny Fairy.
Work today. The good angel says to me, get in the studio and work. I hear you.
Yeah.
Do you know what? He lives in America and I'm in the UK, but we work remotely anyway, and it's like almost like Lenny's there in the office with me. Yeah, so it's cool. He's great, lovely, amazing man. Definitely got more. Huh?
I have a question for. Is it Paul or John with the hat? John. Paul. Sorry.
Yo.
What's with the virtual headphones? What's that on next to the guitar?
Oh, it's my girlfriend bought me that for just to sit and just brighten up the.
That's awesome. I'm wondering what.
Wow!
Wow!
Yeah, I think it's faded a little bit. It used to be a lot brighter than that. I think it's faded a little bit.
No, but it's so cool. Couldn't tell what that was. I'm thinking. Oh, okay.
It was a present from my special lady friend.
Oh,
it really ties the room together.
It really does. But to be fair, Lenny, I mean, if you're jealous of that, then I'm definitely very jealous of what you've got sat behind you.
I'm not jealous. I'm admiring. There's a difference. It's admiration.
Lenny, I'll swap you this for what you've got behind you.
I gotta put it on the Intrepid for you and send it over. I'm sorry, the Titanic. It's leaving soon.
Thanks a lot, guys. We'll catch up with you again soon. All right, you take care.
Thank you for having us.
See you later on, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.